St. John's University, and a certificate in telepsychology from the Telemental Health Institute. He provides psychotherapy at the Institute for Human Identity and in private practice. And he completed his postdoctoral residency while developing a very innovative program right here at the New York Society for Ethical Culture. Dr. Corigliano works with our Social Service Board under the leadership of Dr. Phyllis Harrison Ross to provide supportive televisiting services for children with incarcerated parents. Over 2 million children in the United States have a parent who is incarcerated. And in most cases, these children would benefit from ongoing positive contact with their parent. Right here in the society, the Social Service Board has created a child-friendly space in the SSB office, complete with a giant teddy bear, a full library supported by the New York and Brooklyn public libraries, as well as educational and fun materials from Sesame Street. Inside the room is a large screen television set that connects with jails and prisons in New York State. This connection allows the parent and child to see and hear each other and to spend quality time together in a supportive setting. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. Corigliano now, who will tell us more about this wonderful project. Frank?
Hi, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Pat. That was really wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Harrison Ross, for your leadership and support as we develop this program. I also want to thank the Society for your leadership and support as we develop the program, and also the Social Service Board and some of the members who are here today. Is this better?
Yep.
Thank you. So with that said, I do want to say that we are taking a powerful move towards justice and towards creating a more ethical society with this program. And so what I want to do this morning is just share a little bit of that with you. So what I'll be doing is I'll show a couple of video clips and tell a couple of stories just to give you a flavor of some of the work that we're doing in this building. And some of the benefits of televisiting and keeping that connection with a child is that you can build and strengthen a healthy parent-child relationship and lessen some of the potential trauma related to separation due to incarceration. And you can also create healthier family transitions when parents come home. So if you have an ongoing stable relationship with the child, it's a nice way to maintain that connection and have a stronger connection when they come home. What I'd like to do, so this is one of our families, and one of the things that we do is we always end a session, a televisit session, with some sort of a shtick. They've all got their shtick. And so for this family, this is the Triana family, and if you notice, they're in full heart formation. So that's how they always end their sessions with their mom. And then I'll talk a little bit about some of our important collaborations, which Pat mentioned. One of them is building on our relationship with Dr. Harrison Ross served on the board of the Children's Television Workshop for 20 years. We are again revisiting our Sesame Street roots, and we've collaborated with them. They've recently come out with a kit about incarceration that's designed specifically for children. And it talks about incarceration in a child-friendly way. Yeah, we'll share that.
Values, please.
Actually, I do understand what you're going through. When I was about your age, my dad was incarcerated too.
Was?
Wait, what's carcerated? And why was your dad in it?
Incarcerated is when someone breaks the law, a grown-up rule, and then they have to go to jail or prison.
And your dad was incarcerated?
Yes, he was in prison. So I know how hard it can be, Alex.
Yeah. Please God.
You're not alone. I've been there too. Many children have. Many are like you.
Mom writes me letters almost every day, and Dad leaves them in my room to read when I get home from school. I miss her a lot.
It's hard not to be able to touch or hug each other, but Daddy blows me a kiss. I tell him I'll save it for later. I wish Daddy could come with us, but this is where he has to be because he broke the law.
How long ago your mom been apart?
Few years.
What's hard about it? What's the hardest part?
When I'm traveling and then I see children with their mothers and playing and everything, and I just wonder how it feels to be like that.
Look around and you'll see people who take care of you, who lived and will share with you, who always will be there for you, like me.
Right, so that was a little bit of a clip of the Sesame Street workshop materials. What they've done is they've done a lot of research around what's helpful for children, and a lot of the things that they've put into these materials are really saying in a child-friendly way that you're not alone. There are a lot of children that share your story, and giving those children a sense of belonging and acceptance and support. And they really do it in this wonderful way with these characters. So I want to share a little bit of that with you because this is one of the tools that really helps us reach out to families and build that connection. The next image I want to show you is of a tele-birthday party. This is one of my favorite things because a lot of children who are separated from their parents don't get to celebrate a lot of the special events. So, for example, if a child's birthday is coming up and mom or dad is away, they might not want to go to school that week. And because people might ask them, what did you do for your birthday? What did you do for Easter? What did you do for Christmas? And maybe they don't want to have that conversation. So maybe they're going to get in trouble that week and not go to school. So for this child in particular, this is a wonderful image. I really love it. It tells such a great story. He came into the televisiting room, and he opened the door, and inside it was dark, and he really didn't sort of understand what was going on. He was a little confused, but just as he was starting to notice there was a little light on the table, and just as he realized that that light was a candle connected to a cupcake, at that very moment from his left, he starts hearing, "Happy birthday to you," and it was his mom singing "Happy Birthday" on the big screen TV. So for this little guy, he got to have his mom sing "Happy Birthday." He got to have her tell him how much she loved him and how much he means to her and how special he was on his birthday. And he got to make a wish and blow out the candle with her. So this is one of the really wonderful stories that I just love sharing. Another one of our collaborations is with the Brooklyn and New York Public Libraries. They have a wonderful program called Daddy and Me and Mommy and Me. It's a 4-day workshop that they go on to Rikers Island and they teach the parents about the importance of reading out loud to your child and early literacy. And so they would do this 5-day workshop. They would bring in a ton of really wonderful books onto Rikers Island, and the moms would go through the books and they'd pick out the book that they love. And they bring in a digital recorder and they make a digital audio recording of mom or dad reading that book to the child. And then they would give that book and the DVD to the child. So the child could listen to mom reading the book over and over again. And that was where their program ended. It was a really wonderful program, but that's where it ended. So over the past year, we've been collaborating with them, and I said, hey, libraries, we have this wonderful televisiting room with a live connection to Rikers Island in one of these facilities. What if, for your moms and your dads, we give them a televisit where they can actually read the book live to their child? So now this has become a formal part of their program. They integrate televisiting into all of their Mom You Me and Dad You Me programs. So their program lives after the recording. It continues to live because these parents, they'll come here and they'll televisit 4 or 5 or 6 times. And reading is an integral part of that. We have a full library that's a special project of the Social Service Board was developing this library specifically curated to address the needs of children with incarcerated parents. And we have matching sets of those books in the facilities, so they can literally flip through the same books together. Our next project, our next collaboration is with Carnegie Hall. Carnegie Hall also has a wonderful program. It's called the Lullaby Project, and has really given a lot of the theme of this morning, too. And the Lullaby Project, they bring Carnegie Hall artists, singers, keyboardists, violin players, cello players into Rikers Island, and they work with the moms to write a lullaby for their child. And so if we can pause that. Pause. Thank you. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to get to see one of the lullabies. So their program, they would go into Rikers Island, they would work with the mom would write a lullaby for her child. They would say, I want a keyboard, I want a violin, I want a cello. They work with the singers, I want it faster, I want it louder, I want it more intense, which you'll see. And they write all that information down, and the Carnegie Hall artists take it back to a professional recording studio. And they use Carnegie Hall singers, one of which you'll hear, Carnegie Hall violinists, keyboardists, and they create this lullaby for this family. And then they put that lullaby on SoundCloud, which is in the cloud, and the child is able to hear that and listen to it whenever they want. And that's where their program ended. So since we've been collaborating with them, they now add televisiting to their lullaby project for this most recent one on Rikers Island. And we had 5 moms who crafted this lullaby. And what I did is I had the children come here. This is one of the little girls, and I played the lullaby. And she was able to, for the first time, listen to the lullaby live with her mom. And so mom's on TV, and you'll watch this 9-year-old girl listening to the lullaby that mom, sharing the lullaby that mom wrote for her.
I promise we
just one of the really special clips that I really wanted to share with you guys, because it's one of the rare opportunities that I can share with the society the inside, the heart of the Televisiting program. And so that was really special. Thank you, and thank you for David and the chorus for that wonderful engagement of bringing it to life. And then the next thing I want to just very quickly touch on is that the Televisiting program is also a training program. So we collaborate with Fordham University and John Jay University, and we've had 2 social work interns, and we now have 3 forensic psychology interns, 2 of whom are here today. And so we're creating a training of the future mental health workers, and we also work on training psychiatrists as well on how to work with children who are and families who are affected by incarceration. I'll show you a picture of the inside of the room very quickly, so you can kind of see how big the screen is on the TV, and you can see the library. And the library was redesigned by one of our children who also participated in the program. And she, after her dad came home, she continues to come back to the society and check out books. And Dad has been to our Sunday platforms as well. So it's really about creating an opportunity for community and connection and empowering parents to be parents, even during a period of separation, and empowering children with access to their parents. Another thing, now that we've been doing this for a little while, is we've been called upon to share our expertise and our knowledge. So we offer consultation on family-friendly televisiting and working with children with incarcerated parents. So we've consulted with the City and State Department of Corrections here in New York City. I did a training with 32 deputy wardens on televisiting and what the program's about. And also the federal prisons and the state prisons as well, both the New York State and the regional federal bureaus of prisons. I also did a training with our social work intern for 82 foster care workers at Grand Wyndham on the importance of working with children and supporting these families, and also televisiting. We've also been working with the Department of Education, and we've offered televisits to have parent-teacher conferences, because there are schools on Rikers Island. There are 7 of them, and so these students, we're giving the students and the parents and the teachers access to each other to be able to communicate and talk, and empowering them to support their educational goals. We also do training and work with faith-based organizations on televisiting, and those are going to be some of the future spots for televisiting. Is going to be working with a Jericho Project, which is a network of faith-based organizations in Brooklyn. And then also the New York and Brooklyn public libraries. As of 2 weeks ago, how many of you know the Brooklyn Public Library, the big central library? Okay, it's a wonderful, wonderful space. And as of 2 weeks ago, they're doing library-based televisiting. And that's something that the Social Service Board has supported me in supporting them to give birth to. Now children can walk into not only our beautiful building and feel welcome here, but also beginning to branch out and really ignite, a fire among giving access to these wonderful children and families. And their final picture this is a little guy. If you can see, he's actually on camera. That's the camera, and he's celebrating Valentine's Day with his mom. And so we televisit with moms and dads. And a few of the ethical components that are baked into our program is that televisits are intended to supplement, not replace, physical visits where a child can touch and hold and smell their mom or dad. We operate from a child-first perspective, so it's about the needs of the child. It has wonderful benefits for the parents as well, but it's about the needs of the child. We operate from a human rights and social justice framework, specifically that we appreciate diversity and are LGBT focused and affirmative and non-discriminatory, and in order to participate in our program, we expect that from our partners. And we do not rule out participation based on specific crime or charges. We look at the individual situation of that particular family and their needs and how we can support them. We operate from a yellow flag rather than a red flag policy. I very rarely say no. I say, what supports can I offer you? And that's been a wonderful way to really bake in the ethical components and create a more ethical and just society. I want to thank you so much, and we should have time for some Q&A. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank. I was very moved to watch and see how the children were so positively reacting to this communication. We're very proud of what you're making possible for very vulnerable, needy families. Frank, why don't you come back and take a couple of questions if there are any from the audience. Does anyone have a question for Frank? Yes, Pamela.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I'd like to know if anything that you're doing is addressing the fact that the U.S. has got 2% of the world's population, but 25% of the criminals. People are in jail in incredible amounts, and this includes women. Is there any bleed over into that?
Right, Dr. Ross, did you want to mention?
Well, it's not quite the focus of what we're trying to present this morning, Pamela, but indeed we are activists, and as you know, I'm commissioner for the New York State Commission of Correction, and regulate and monitor all jails, prisons, and lockups in the state. And of course, very much active, an activist and an advocate on behalf of the entire system. And of course, we don't like the idea that so many people are incarcerated. And the focus is on trying to prevent incarceration. And the focus of this program is exactly that. Because when I was practicing as a child psychiatrist, I saw that children of incarcerated people tended to follow in the footsteps of their parents. And I thought that it would be important to develop programs where we could intervene. That's what we're doing here.
Thank you.
Frank, that was just so touching, and oh my God, tore up my heartstrings, really. So I wondered, how many are you? First of all, what's going to happen now? You finished your training, right? Your postdoc. So are you leaving? Are you going to continue? Where's the program? Is the program going to finish?
Yeah, I think we're going to continue. We just had, for those of you who attended, we had the society named an award after Dr. Phyllis Harrison Ross, which was given to David Dinkins, and that was one of our first fundraisers, and we're looking for ways to stabilize and sustain the program. And so one of those ways will be through consultation and helping other people develop programs, but we're definitely looking at a future.
And then how many children are you working with right now?
It ranges. Usually we get them in batches of when we go into a new facility every month. So we've gone to 9 different facilities, and then usually we'll carry about 5 families at a time active.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to know what are some of the challenges for both the kids and their incarcerated parents to participate in the program?
So some of the challenges are, and the reason that we have, our program is run at a very high level. We have a psychologist who's working it, and we have social work interns and undergraduate psychology interns. So there's a lot of support that we give to the families, and this allows us to reach out very broadly to families who do benefit more from additional support. A lot of our families are very complicated, our lives are very complicated, and so we're able to follow up with, if a foster care agency is involved, we're able to follow up with them and invite them to participate in the program. Some of it is really building trust and showing that we're offering something and we mean it, and we really do care about you, and sending those signals consistently and in many ways.
Good morning. I was wondering if you had implemented a monitoring and evaluation system to see what the long-term effects of helping these children and see if they're possibly not incarcerated ability to do.
Right, so we're a very small program, and that's a wonderfully large task. Things that we can immediately say is that the vast majority, over 90% of our participants, are interested in televisiting again. They continue, once they do it, we usually say, especially when we collaborate with the libraries or the Carnegie Hall, we say we'll give you one televisit, and then in the back of our minds, we're always, if it goes well, we want you to continue. And we've looked at outcomes like a child's expression, when we see the little girl hearing her mother's voice, and we know what we're doing is right. We are partnering with Fordham, Be the Evidence Project, with Dr. Tina Mashi. She does research on outcomes and measurements to start formalizing and looking and tracking some of these things that we know are true, but be able to show that to other people.
Hi, Frank. That was just so wonderful. I've seen you operate right in the social service office, so some of this is not new. Excuse me. But it's so important and so meaningful. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the women especially are incarcerated just because they don't want to tell who gave them the drugs to hold for them, and they often have to give up their children. We have to spend money for the foster care and so on. And these women really shouldn't be in jail. And so what you're doing is connecting with communicating with people who really should be with each other. And so congratulations. I don't really have a question. I just applaud you for everything you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm a lawyer and I have a lot of clients who are incarcerated parents, and I was wondering, is there a referral process? How could I connect parents to your program?
Yeah, absolutely. We love getting direct referrals from professionals who know families who can benefit from that. That's one of the things that, because of the support of the Social Service Board, we're able to explore those things and then hopefully develop it as a potential track in the future. If you have a family, and we do family televisits, but we've also, as an outgrowth of that, we've been offering professional services as well. So, for example, we've had a individual who identified as transgender who wanted to televisit with her priest. And so we were able to reach out to the priest. The priest came in here with a collar, walking through ethical, and had a wonderfully supportive televisit. We've also had library services. You can have a librarian on demand. They came here and they did mock interviews with one of our dads who was coming home on how to answer the question about where you've been for the past 6 months in a way that is strengths-based and direct. The idea of including these professional services is a wonderful idea, in addition to your families. Thank you.
My question is another one of statistics, and I'm sure you don't have statistics yet, but I'll bet you or Phyllis have thoughts about what effect this will have on the recidivism of the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's well known that research shows that a strong positive connection to the community, including and specifically family members, is associated with reduced incarceration recidivism rates. And that's one of the things that we do. There are all these programs to reduce recidivism, but they don't actually connect family to family. And so they're limited. Our program is very special and very promising for reducing recidivism in that we do actually make connections to family directly and also to communities. The families come here, and we've had some of the children also do, a couple weeks ago we had a spring planting for Earth Day, where one of the children from our Televisiting program was working with 3 of the children from the Ethical Youth program, and they did a planting together for the flower box in the Televisiting room, and everyone got to take a plant home. So it's really about creating this community to reduce recidivism and empowering more ethical society.
Frank, I'm thinking about these little children at school, and I wonder what happens at school when there's a discussion of family? What do the kids tell you how the other kids treat them? The whole run.
Yeah, and that's such an important thing. What you're getting at a little bit is the stigma and shame that can often be associated with having a parent who's incarcerated. And so, two of the things that we do, because this program is very light and fun and fluffy, but it's research-based. Everything is, like, the brains behind it are very intense. And so two of the things you're hitting at are stigma and shame and how that might impact them in the classroom. And so the reason I did the tele-birthday one is because that child got to go to school and talk about the wish he made with his mom instead of, and feeling a part of and feeling special and beaming. And you saw the glow on his face. And so that's a wonderful way that we can do that. Also, when you walk in the Televisiting room, we have tons of pictures of other children. And so you'll see a little girl walk in. She'll look around at all these pictures of these wonderful kids with these great smiles, and they're like, are they in the program too? Are their parents incarcerated too? I'm like, yeah. And you just see her go, and that's the difference we make.
Hi, Frank, how are you? I have sort of 2 points. One, is there a collaboration with the parole offices to help in the transition plan for parents that are leaving incarceration so that there's more of a cohesive plan for them, because there are a lot of points that the parole officers try to lead them towards in families, not necessarily integrated in the parole plan.
Right, yeah, so the short answer to that is parole is definitely another place that, in the future we want to start looking at to make that connection, because you could also have television sites based in, there's the new NEON program, and that these community-based sites for a lot of those engagements, so that would be something that's really
And I've been working with he's now the Associate Commissioner of Corrections for Community Services, because they combine with corrections. I'm working with him about developing collaborative programs on this.
Okay, and so the next point question is sort of on my latest interests, because of as the immigration reform is hitting the waters, that means we're deporting more people than ever so that we can get to a nice place. So the next question is there any thought regarding, I guess this should be more towards Dr. Ross, international television to help, because you can already start to connect the children while their parents are currently incarcerated, but many of those parents will then be deported to their home countries, and then all the good work that you've done may have been broken. So is there any thoughts